Inside this box is one of the most iconic Air Jordan 14 colorways of all time. And I finally have a pair of them. In fact, I have a pair like a month early. Shout out to FineLine1721 for always having the pairs early. It's great. See it? Oh my gosh. Here we go. You guys already know what it is. But if you're like me, you haven't seen them in person yet, or I guess a video yet. Man, oh man, look at this box. It's simple, it's clean, it's your classic Air Jordan 14 box. You got the Jumpman in the center in this little circular divot in bright red. And that's about it. And then you got the size tag on one side. I grabbed a size 9, which is my true size, and the official colorway of this shoe is white varsity red black. Oh man. The Air Jordan 14 Black Toe finally returning in 2024. One of the very first Air Jordan 14 colorways, truly an OG colorway of the shoe, and man, it looks good. Like I said, I've actually never owned a pair of these. I've had a bunch of pairs of 14s, but never the black toes. Had a ton of cherries, had a ton of, well, pretty much every other colorway, but never the black toes. And this pair doesn't disappoint, I'm not gonna lie. This pair looks good. Obviously, we'll dig a little bit deeper into the materials once we actually get into the review, but yeah, first impressions, not bad. I'm actually really excited to throw these on. The Air Jordan 14, in my opinion, is one of the, if not the most comfortable pair of Air Jordan sneakers. I know in my top 10 list I said the 12s, but if we're counting every part of the shoe, like the breathability, the padding on the upper, everything about the shoe, the 14s are my favorite. I should have probably put these as number 1 on the list. That was my mistake. I like these better than the 13s. I like these better than the 12s in terms of comfort. So yeah, I screwed up there, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. It's crazy that 14s don't really get the love that other Jordan models have gotten. And sure, I understand that some people don't love the shape of the shoe or the paneling on the shoe or whatever, but genuinely the 14 is one of the best Jordan retro models, and you gotta have a pair, at least I think so. And why not grab a pair of the black toes? These shoes are absolutely fire. But why don't we go try these guys on and see how they fit? All right, so here we are on the try-on deck to try on the brand new pair of Air Jordan 14 Black Toes, a pair which I'm really excited about, a pair that I've never owned, and I want to see if it fits like all my other pairs of Air Jordan 14. So let's throw these guys on feet, see how they feel. First, I gotta take off the giant Factory Lab duck boots, which are massive, but they're sick. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I could rock these all day, but yo, if I'm going to an event or something, I want to look wild, this is the way to go. Actually, underneath the duck boots, I got the brand new Halloween APTHCRY socks, which are dropping this Friday. You might see another pair from the collection in the on-foot portions of this video. This is the purple and black spiderweb with the orange hits. I'm also rocking the ghost colorway, and then there's a couple other colorways like the glow-in-the-dark bones, which are wild. They actually legit glow in the dark, it's crazy. But getting to the shoes themselves, here we go. All right. Initial try on, yeah, true to size. Standard Air Jordan 14 size. That's what I'd suggest. If you have pairs of 14s, go with your standard 14 size. I always go true to size in 14s. They feel great on my feet. Plus, man, the cushion, decent for a pair of Air Jordan sneakers. The best, probably retro cushion that you can get. Well, the 12's cushion underfoot is pretty nice. This is like an all-around more comfortable shoe with the 12s. That full-length Air Zoom unit is wild, but these feel really good. They also look good. I understand that people don't always love the way that 14s look on feet, but man, these look fresh, especially with this whole black fit. I dig it. Yeah, definitely true to size. I don't know how difficult these will be to get, so I don't know how hard it's gonna be to try them on in store, but if you can try them on in store first before you buy them, do that to make sure that you're grabbing the right size. But with that being said, let's head back to the studio. I keep hearing people say that 2024 is a bad year for Jordans. And while yes, I guess financially for Jordan brand, it's probably not the best, but for sneaker collectors and Jordan heads, this has been one of the best years in a long time. We've gotten so many good OG colorways and collaborations and just new colorways. I don't know why people think this year sucks. I think it's awesome. Plus, nowadays you can buy pretty much anything that's not a very limited release or a collaboration for retail or below. It's wild. I think this year's been great, and the rest of the year is shaping up to be incredible. We've got the Black Cement 3s dropping, we've got the Air Jordan 11 Legend Blues dropping, and of course, on November 2nd, we've got the Air Jordan 14 Black Toes dropping. This 4th iteration of the colorway releases for a retail price of $210 and comes in full family sizing. And honestly, I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to get. Yes, I do think it's gonna sell out eventually, maybe not immediately, but eventually, but I don't think this shoe is going to be impossible to find in stores. That said, if you want to grab the Air Jordan 14 Black Toe ahead of release, or maybe you're watching this review after the release and you missed out on the release, make sure to check them out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. You can also just check the resale price, see how these shoes are doing. Right now, I think these shoes are going for around $350 to $400, but I'm sure the price will drop as we get closer to the release of the shoe. This colorway and this silhouette is truly a quintessential Jordan sneaker. Like when you think of Jordan sneakers, you think of the 1s and the 4s and 3s and the 8s and the 10s and all sort of good stuff, but eventually you get to the 14s, and when you think of the 14s, you probably think about this colorway. Or maybe the Ferraris or the Cherries or something like that. I don't know. But this is a popular colorway and I like it, is what I was trying to get at. So the Air Jordan 14 first debuted on Michael Jordan's feet back in 1998. He was actually wearing this shoe to the finals in 1998, which was also his finals, his sixth championship. And because of when this shoe debuted, a lot of people consider this to be the final great retro Jordan. Sure, the 15s are cool and the 17s are popular right now, but this shoe is tied to Michael Jordan's final finals appearance. So it's hard to debate that this shoe is an iconic sneaker. As I alluded to earlier, this is the fourth release of the black toe Air Jordan 14s. They first came out in 1998, I think around October. Then they released in 2006, 2014, and now in 2024. It's been 10 years since we've gotten this colorway last, and I've got to be honest, it's good to have this colorway back, especially for someone who never owned it. It's nice to finally add this OG sneaker to my collection. And apparently this new release of the shoe comes in the OG shape of the Air Jordan 14. Now to be fair, the Air Jordan 14 hasn't changed as much in shape as some of the other older silhouettes, but it has changed a little bit, and this newer release apparently is as true to the OG as we've ever gotten. But at this point, let's take a deeper look at one of the most classic Air Jordan 14 colorways of all time. Starting off in the front half of the shoe, specifically on the toe, we've got this black suede panel, which also features this little red embroidered Jumpman. As I was saying in the unboxing, the material feels fine. It doesn't feel incredible, it doesn't feel premium, but it also doesn't feel terrible. I annoyingly have a glue stain or some sort of mark on the right side of my right pair, which is not a huge deal. It's gonna get a ton of those when I wear this, but right out of the box, that's always a bummer. Jordan sneakers just tend to have glue stain problems. I think every sneaker does, but Jordan's in particular, for whatever reason, the QC sometimes is off. And sure, that is a problem with every sneaker brand out there, probably some more than others. Maybe it's because I review Jordans the most out of every sneaker brand, but I tend to see the most glue stain issues on Jordans. Actually, it probably is that. It's probably because I review Jordans the most, so. No shade, Jordan brand. Continuing back in the shoe to essentially the midfoot, you get to this very simple white tumbled leather panel, which doesn't have ribbing in it like the original release. The 2006 pair did have a rib detail like some of the other Air Jordan 14s out there, but the original didn't, and so the 2024 also does not. While I do like that rib detail on shoes like the Cherry 14s, and I don't even mind the way that it looks on the 2006 black toes, I think I prefer the OG look just because of the fact that it is the OG. But again, the 2006 pair really doesn't look bad. Moving towards the tongue of the sneaker, you get to this, I guess, finished edge or extra reinforcement with this stitch detail. And this actually acts as some sort of protection or cover for the lace loops, which are kind of hidden inside the sneaker. Running through the lace loops, you've got these black oval laces. I don't believe you get a second set of laces inside the box, at least I didn't find one. Not a big deal though, I really feel like black laces are the way that you should go with the black toe 14s. Underneath the laces, you've got this black perforated tongue in this nubuck style material. I don't think it's the same material as what you find on the toe. It feels like it's a bit more synthetic. Kind of felty to be honest with you, but not a big deal. Then at the top of the tongue, you've got your sort of nylon detail with your Jordan text in red. Of course, the tag sort of loops around this plastic piece, which I guess gives you some sort of area to grab onto when you pull the shoes on. And then on the back of the tongue, you've got 14 written in Roman numerals, also in red. Moving inside the sneaker, you've got a black fabric sock liner, which is really well padded. Another reason why the Air Jordan 14 is considered so comfortable. Plus the tongue is also pretty well padded as well, and pretty breathable. Actually, the Air Jordan 14 in general is a surprisingly breathable shoe for a shoe that looks like it's basically just I don't know what to call it, like not a breathable shoe. Rounding off the inside of the shoe, you've got a black insole with the Jumpman printed on the heel in white. On the back of the insole, you actually have these two softer foam areas on the forefoot and on the heel, which do add a little bit more cushioning. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough. Again, when it comes to fit, the Air Jordan 14 does fit pretty much true to size, at least that's what I'd recommend. And one thing you may already know about this shoe, or may have noticed as we sort of went through the review, is how sleek this shoe looks compared to other Jordan models. And the reason for that is that this shoe is actually inspired by Michael Jordan's sports cars. And the reason I bring that up now is because we get to the part on the shoe which is very obviously inspired by the Ferrari logo, the Jordan emblem on the lateral side of the sneaker. You do have a piece of plastic over top of it, which I forgot to remove. There we go. It's better to remove it for the B-roll because it doesn't look great. Although technically the shoe isn't DS if you don't have this little plastic piece on there, so trying to keep your Air Jordan 14s as DS as possible. Keep the plastic on, although it does get yellowed pretty quick, so maybe don't. I don't know. Throughout the years, people have felt mixed about this detail. I think some people love it and some people hate it. I'm in the camp of loving it, not because of how it looks, but because of what it means and the history behind the shoe. Obviously, it's inspired by the Ferrari logo, and as someone who loves Ferraris, that's a pretty cool touch. And I also like the fact that this shoe is inspired by Michael Jordan's love of cars and sports cars, and he's obviously big in motorsports, and so it makes sense that he has a pair of sneakers that's really heavily inspired by motorsport. But I do understand that it kind of does make the side of the sneaker look dated. Like, this looks like a shoe that came out in the early 2000s, late 90s. Like, I totally understand that. But hey, it's part of the history of the shoe, so you can't hate on it too much. This emblem is actually sewn into a white smooth leather panel, which you find on both the lateral and the medial side of the shoe, even though they're different shapes on either side of the sneaker. And then moving around to the heel of the shoe, you get to what I can only assume is another polarizing detail, the heel tab of the sneaker, which features the elongated 23 text. Now, my guess, without knowing for a fact, is that this heel tab is inspired by a couple different things. One, driving shoes, because driving shoes usually have heels that wrap a little bit farther up on the shoe than other sneakers. And two, the tread of a tire, because the pattern pressed into the heel tab really does look like tire tread. Towards the top of the heel tab, you have this red fabric detail, which adds this nice pop of color towards the back of the shoe. And then moving down on the shoe, you get to the very obviously sports car inspired midsole. Towards the front of the sneaker, the midsole sort of wraps up onto the toe of the sneaker, kind of like teeth or I guess air intakes. And then as you move back on the shoe, you've got this really interesting metallic silver detail, which actually literally does have an air intake on the medial side. Even though this seems like such a small detail, the fact that you've literally got a ventilation hole on the side of the shoe, which is pretty large and is really only covered by mesh, that allows the shoe to actually breathe, especially around the bottom of your foot, makes the shoe feel a lot cooler on feet, literally. I really love that hidden detail, and I like that it's not on the outside of the shoe. I feel like personally, it would have seemed a little corny on the outside of the shoe, but on the inside of the shoe, I mess with it. Of course, on the black toe colorway, the midsole comes in white, and then moving to the bottom of the sneaker, you've got this black rubber outsole, which features herringbone traction. You've got this red rubber circle on the outsole of the shoe, right where the pivot point is, which also has 14 sort of pressed into it. You've got a red Jumpman in the midfoot and more of this metallic silver detail here. It's actually not metal or anything like that. It's just a TPU that's painted, at least that's my guess. And then finally, right at the back of the outsole, and I guess sort of on the heel of the shoe, you've got these two little tiny red hits, which I didn't even notice till just now. I really like the Black Toe 14s a lot, and I'm really excited about this release on November 2nd, but I will say that the Air Jordan 14s do kind of seem dated in 2024, especially because they were so modern looking back in 1998. In 2024, they don't have that same sort of modern feel. They're not like the Foamposites. The Foamposites feel like they could have released really any time between then and now. These shoes definitely feel like something that released in the late 90s. That said, 90s shoes are popular right now. 2000 shoes are popular, so these shoes probably will make a comeback. And like I said earlier on in the video, 14s do tend to sell, especially in OG colorways. Not all 14s, but most 14s. And I kind of feel like this shoe might end up being more popular than some of the other 4s that released this year, like the Oxidized Greens, or the Vivid Sulfurs, or maybe even the Alma Maniere 4s. That might be crazy to say, but honestly, these might sell out faster than they did. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I would love to know your thoughts on this shoe in the comment section down below. Again, if you want to grab this shoe for yourself, check it out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.